In the next 60 minutes, I'm going to show you 10 essential inventory hacks that'll turn any basic tables into a powerful inventory application without any VBA at all. I cannot wait, so let's get started. All right, thank you so much for joining me. I'm super happy to have you here. In this week's training, we're going to go over all of the most important inventory hacks that you need to know in order to create a comprehensive inventory application. And we're going to do all that without VBA. This is going to include a dashboard that we're going to be creating from scratch. I'm going to show you how to create a dynamic expiry watch table that automatically builds itself. Same thing with reorder reports, can automatically build itself based on the items that we're going to be needed to reorder. Also, we're going to create a complete inventory balance, all the necessary formulas, conditional formatting for those items that need to be reordered, and a whole lot more. We're also going to cover stock in and stock out based on expiry dates and a fully dynamic report. So I've got all that with the top 10 inventory hacks that you will need to manage and run your inventory application. We're going to cover everything, do all the formulas from scratch, including the dashboard. This template with all of the hacks and formulas, functions, and of course, the dashboard is absolutely free, as it is every week. All you need to do is click the link down below. If you're on my website, look for the blue button or green button, whatever the color it is this week. It says download, click that. Name and email, we're going to get that sent right over to you. Likewise, if you're on YouTube, just look for the download word in capital letters, link below that. It's also going to make sure that you get this template. Super happy to have you here. I create these templates twice a week. In fact, every weekend is the basic VBA to make you great with VBA. And every single Tuesday is the comprehensive application development. This week, we're doing something a little bit different with no VBA at all. So for those of you who don't want VBA, or maybe you can't use it in your company, or maybe inside your workplace, this is great for you because there's no VBA code at all whatsoever inside this training. So I hope you do love it. Also, I've got some really cool products that you're going to love. So make sure you click down, including the AI tool pack. I built this a while ago and I keep adding more and more features. I've got an AI assistant, which you can ask questions, a fix my formula for any type of formula issues you have. It'll use AI to get those answers right away. Even VBA code, copy and paste your VBA code into this, and it's going to tell you exactly where the errors are and how to fix them, and it'll also give you the corrected code. Even if you want to get any data from around the world, I've got this feature as part of the AI tool pack. It's going to share any type of data. All you need to do is simply put in a request. The data comes, write my VBA code. Simple. All you need to do is just put in your request, whatever you want, and it's going to write the code for you. Optimize my code, also great. One-click insights, get fake data, and a whole lot more, including a chat GPT function. So I just keep adding more and more to this. So make sure you click the link. That's the AI tool pack, and I'll include the link down below. All right, so let's get started on this training. I'm going to go over a brief overview. I've got 10 inventory hacks that I'm going to be sharing with you. We're going to be writing all the formulas live. So I've got actually two different versions here. One with the dashboard and all the formulas, and another one with nothing in it. So you see the dashboard's blank and all the formulas are blank. So we're going to be doing everything step by step. So what we're going to be doing is I've got a list of products. I've got some stock in, stock out, an inventory balance sheet that we're going to be completing, a reorder report that I'm going to be sharing with you, an expiry watch, and then we're going to create a dashboard. There's going to be 10 inventory hacks that we're going to go over. So let's go ahead. I'm going to drag this over, and we've got not necessarily a blank workbook. I do have some of the data here. So we're going to start out with some products. And I've got the inventory hacks here, stock in and stock out. So let's just do that. Let's go over some of the tables that I already have as we start to build out these hacks. And we still have to build those essential formulas and all the functions that make your inventory application super powerful. We're going to do that, of course, without VBA. All right, so what we have here, I'll just go over some of the tables that we have here. This is a table of our products. We've got a list of product ID, names, category, the cost of which that we pay for that, the unit price, what we sell it for, and then the reorder level. And that means when the order gets to low, what we want to do is we want to set that reorder level so that when our total units get to that or below that, then we want to make sure it gets marked as a reorder. So for example, on this blue widget here, once our inventory get to level 40, we want an alert say, hey, it is time to reorder. So this is the threshold in which we want to reorder. So that is the product list. Next up is the stock in table. So the stock in is when we buy items. Usually it comes from some sort of a purchase order, and then it will become into here. So we have a purchase date, the product ID. We have a formula, which is just going to let us know the product. And we have the quantity in, so that means how many we purchase that are going to be coming inside our stock. Once we purchase them, they become inside our warehouse or inside our stock. And once we sell them, then they leave. The supplier, who did we purchase it from? And if the product has an expiration date, as it does with certain foods or certain organic types of components, maybe there's an expiration date, and we could do that here. So we can also add an expiration date, and we might want to mark it as expired within a certain number of days. So that is based on the purchases. As we mentioned, we also have one other thing is the name of this table here is called table stock in. The name of this table is called table products. And lastly, we have the table stock out. So this is called table stock out. There we go. That's correct. Now the stock out is simply when we sell items, either through an invoice or some sort of receipt. We've done many applications like that. So here we're just focusing on the essential data. We have the date in which it was sold, the product ID, the quantity that we sold, and the customer who purchased those items. So that's a relatively simple table. Next up, we're going to focus on the inventory balance. Now notice this is completely empty other than a product ID. So the product ID is just simply a link to the product. So if I were to do that, I would just go equals, and then we're going to go to the products, and then we simply enter the product ID and hit enter. We double click it down, and it's going to just loop. So basically every single product is linked into that. What I want with this list is I've got a table called table inventory balance. So what I want to do is I want to populate, first of all, everything that came in and everything that the balance is. So we're going to go one by one inside this. So the first inventory hack that we're going to focus on is the simple stock balance. Now this is the most essential formula, and that is how much stock do we currently have on hand. And essentially it's a very simple formula. It is simply how many items we have purchased minus how many items we sold. So it's relatively simple. Total purchased minus total sold. So that's what we're going to be adding in. So we're going to start out with this inventory balance. So the first thing what we want to do is get that product name. So we have the product ID here inside a formula. It's just linked to the products. So to get the product name, all we need to do is use an index formula to grab that. So we're going to do that right now. We're going to use equals index. And to index it, what is exactly that I'm indexing it? So we have a table products. We want to look for the name. So it's going to be that product name. So we're going to put that there. We have to focus on the row. What row is it going to be found? It's coming from our products table. To get that row, we're going to use the match. And what am I going to match? What do I want to look up? I want to look up this product ID that's located right here in A3. And I want to look up a specific array. So where are we going to find it? I want to find it directly inside our products table, which is our product ID. So it's going to come here, and it's going to come directly from the product ID, which is right here. And of course, I want an exact match, so I'm going to use exact. And I want to use a single column. So that's going to be here. So we're just going to use that one column. That's going to return blue widget. When I double click this, it's going to bring all the way down. So then we have all the items. So basically it's just linked directly from our product. So that's relatively easy to keep up. Continuing on, what I want to know now is I want to know the total items that we have purchased of this individual product. So to get that stock in, that's very important. It's going to come here from our stock in table. So what I want to do is I want to look up this product ID, and I want to total all of the purchases based on this given product ID, and it's going to come directly from this table. So we're going to use a sum ifs formula. I want to sum all of our purchases stock in based on the product ID. So if there's multiple products, it's going to sum them all up based on the product ID. We're going to use the sum ifs for that. So we're going to go back into the inventory balance. We're going to use equals sum ifs based on multiple conditions, and the sum range is the stock ID. So we're going to use table stock in. That is it. And what is it? Is the quantity in. That's what we're going to be summing up. And the bracket here. Now, once we have that, let's add a criteria. Now, the criteria is based on a given product ID, right? So what we're going to be looking up is inside that criteria range. What is the criteria range? So it is table here, stock in, and it's going to be based on that product ID. So we have the product ID here. And what is that exact product ID? Now that exact product ID is based directly here in A3. So that is exactly what we're going to be summing if. And we can hit enter. And we see that the total purchases for the blue widget was 80. If we go back to our stock in, we see that the blue widget's 80 and there's just one item with that ID. So that is correct. Back into that, now all we need to do is just double click that. And what that's going to do is going to sum all of the stock in based on the given product ID. Likewise, now we're ready for stock out. Now stock out, you can simply imagine, is the total sales given based on an individual product ID. So to do that, we're going to look in the stock out. Once again, we have a product ID and we have a quantity out. So all we need to do is another sum if formula based on the given product ID, but it's going to be based on the stock out table. So to do that, we're going to go back into the inventory balance, and we already have one for stock in. Now we're going to focus on stock out. So once again, we're going to use equals sum ifs, and then we're going to raise the table. So the table is going to be based on the stock out table. So we're going to look here into the stock out. Once again, we want to sum the quantity out here. So the quantity that went out, that's exactly what we're going to be summing. And we have to specify a criteria. So the table, once again, is going to be the stock out table. And it's going to be based on that product ID. So here's the product ID that we're looking up. And we need that criteria. That criteria is, once again, that product ID here. Great. So once we complete that, we have the sum ifs, and it tells me that the stock out for the blue widget is a total of 25. If we're looking to the stock out and we look for that, we see that the quantity out is 25 for this given product, and it's the sum. If I were to add another one, let's say I change this to 1001, right? All of a sudden that total would go to 95 if our formulas are correct. So we go to invoice balance and we see that it's 95, which is correct. Okay, so we see how it changed automatically. We're going to change this back to 2001 so that we have sufficient totals for our inventory. So now we're going to go to inventory balance, and we're simply going to double click this, which is going to bring the formula all the way down for all of our products. Now, as mentioned to you, our first hack is very, very simple because our current balance is simply a formula that's basically our stock in minus our stock out. So it's going to be equals, and we can add if there's values in both, but for now we'll keep it simple. It's simply our total stock in minus our stock out. So we use the minus and our stock out. And that's it. And that's relatively simple. So it's 55. So our current balance of this stock is 55. We double click that. And now we see that we have the current balance of all the items. We've purchased 300. We've sold 55. Our balance, we have a total of 245 Notebook AS inside our inventory. And next up, we are going to focus on hack number 2, automated reorder formula. So that's the formula that we need to know whether we are going to actually need to reorder them or not. So let's go ahead and go into that formula, and that's going to be the reorder level and the formula there. And so what I want to bring over that reorder level for the given product. We see we have it in here. This is the reorder level here, and I want to bring that in to our inventory balance report. So to do that, once again, we're going to use the index. So we're going to equals index, and then I'm going to index. What are we indexing? It's going to be our table of products. So our product table here, and I want a specific item, and that specific item is going to be our reorder level. So I'm going to type in reorder level here. Now what I want to do is, once again, we need to determine the row number. We can use the match for this. Index match is one of my favorite formulas. So once again, we're going to use the match, and I'm looking up this individual product ID. And once again, I'm going to look it up inside the table products. So we're looking inside our table products, and I'm looking for that specific product ID. Now what we want to do is we want to determine the match type, and that's going to be 0 as we want an exact match. Next up, column number, which is 1. And that's going to bring that reorder level directly down here. So it tells me that the blue widget's reorder level is 50. If we take a look in the products, we see that the reorder level is 50, so we know that that is correct. Now we simply double click, and it's going to bring the reorder levels directly from the products table into our current table. Now what I want to do is I want to create an alert. And what I want to know is if our current balance is less than or equal our reorder level, then we want to create an alert. We need to know whether we should reorder or not. Otherwise, we're going to put okay. So let's use an if-then statement. So with this if-then statement, we're going to use equals if, and I simply want to know if the current balance is less than or equal our reorder level. In that case, what I want to do is I want to put in reorder. So reorder in quotes. Otherwise, we're just going to put okay. And that's it. So it tells us that it's okay because we see that our current balance is 55, which is above our reorder level. If I double click that down here, we see that we do need to reorder this one because our reorder level is 25. However, we only have currently 15 in stock. Likewise, our reorder level is 80, but we only have 10 in stock. Very good. So that is exactly how we create a reorder level actual formula to let us know. And that is our automated reorder formula. Next up, what I would like to do is I would like to share with some conditional formatting, and that's going to let us know for our reorder. So we're going to go back into that and add some simple conditional formatting. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into conditional formatting and I'm going to create a new rule. In fact, I can use 2 rules if I want. Use a new formula. And here what we're going to do is I'm going to base it on the range here. And I'm going to select the first one in the range, but I want it for every row in that range. So I'm going to use G3. If it equals okay, then we're going to color it green. So I'm going to go to the format here, and we're just simply going to give it a fill. And I'm going to use this simple green color, and we're going to click OK and click OK. All right, very good. If it's reorder, I want to color it in a light red. So once again, we're going to go in conditional formatting, manage rules, new rule here. Once again, use a formula based on the first cell inside our range, which in this case is G3. We want it for every row, so we want to remove the $sign. In this case, it's going to be equals reorder, all in capital letters. So now we have a reorder, and we're going to give it a format color of, we'll use a light red, which is this color here, and that is sufficient. And we're going to do OK, and then just click apply. And we see how that automatically it changes to red when we're ready to reorder. Very good. So let's just take a quick look to see, let's say we've sold more of these. Let's say the current balance is 55, but let's say we sold a lot more. We want this to go to reorder as soon as we change the sale amount. And that's going to be through stock out. So let's say we change this to 55, that we've sold 55 instead of 25. We go to the inventory balance. We see that it automatically is marked to reorder. I'll undo that back to 25. All right, so that is our automated OK and reorder based on our inventory stocks. That creates an automated alert based on that using conditional formatting. Next up, inside our, we have our product profit margin calculations. And this is the calculations that's going to let us know whether we're making a profit and how much and what percentage based on the individual products. So let's go ahead and go back into the inventory balance. We need to bring in the unit cost. So here inside our products, we do have a unit cost and we also have a unit price. What I would like to do is I'd like to bring these 2 amounts directly into our inventory balance sheet here. So to do that, once again, we're going to use our index and we're going to use match. So we're going to use equals index. And once again, what am I indexing? I'm going to index the table products. That's where our products are located. And what do I want to bring in? Well, I want to bring in a specific unit cost. So we're going to go down here to the unit cost. That's what we want to bring in. We need a very specific row, just like we did. And we're going to use the match formula for that to bring in that. So once again, we're going to look up that product ID to help us. And we're going to look it up inside a specific row. So what is the array that we're going to look it up? We want to look it up inside our table products. And we want to look it up inside our product ID. So here's our product ID right here. That's the array that we're going to be looking it up in. We also need an exact match, so we're going to use 0 here. The column number is simply 1 because we've only have 1 column selected. We're just going to hit enter. And that's going to tell us that our cost is $4.50 for the blue widgets. When we go into the products, we see that our unit cost is $4.50. So it is correct. We can go back into there, and what we can do is double click and bring it down for all the costs. Unit pricing is going to be almost the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this and I'm going to bring it over here and I'm going to paste it in. But the only difference is instead of unit cost, I want to index the price. So what is the sales price? And that's also known as here our unit price. So the only difference is what we're indexing, and we're going to enter that. And we see that our sales price is $9.99. If we look in our products, we see that we are selling it for $9.99, which is correct. So once again, we can double click this and we automatically get the values. Next up, what I want to know is the margin, and that's simply our unit price minus our unit cost. And that is the profit margin, or how much we're making on every individual product when we sell a single product. And so that's it. So it simply equals to the unit price minus the unit cost. And that's going to get us our total margin. So we're just going to enter that. And once again, we're going to double click it so we can see automatically that we have our margins. But now above that, I want to know not only our margin amount, but what is our margin percentage? What is our profit percentage on every individual product? And to do that, all we need to subtract is unit cost from the unit price and then divide it by that unit price. So what we're going to do is we're going to wrap it in if error equals if error, and we're simply focused on I3 minus, we'll do double parentheses, I3 minus H3, and then what we're going to do is we're going to divide that by I3, and that's going to tell us that percentage. So we're just going to put in here once again I3. Okay, if there's an error, I'm simply going to put in 0. So here we go. We have a 55% margin on that, and that means that we are earning 55% profit on this. So we're going to just double click that and bring it down here. So we have the margins for each. So now we have the margin amounts and the margin percentage. And that is exactly what our product profit margin calculations are. Next up is our expiring product conditional formatting. And here inside our stock in, when we make a purchase of something, we may have some expiration dates that we have to keep an eye on. So what I would like to know is any products that expire between today and within 20 days, I want to put in conditional formatting. So that's very important. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this and I'm going to add some conditional formatting. And it's going to be actually based on 2 rules. So I'm going to click on the new rule and I'm going to use a formula. And the first rule is I want to make sure, I'm going to use and because there's 2 rules, that there is a value in F3. And then we want to create it for every row starting in row 3. So I'm going to remove the $sign, and that means does not equal empty. The second condition is, once again, we're going to select on F. And once again, we're going to use for every row. I want to make sure that if it's less than or equal today, that's the formula for today, plus whatever we have set here, expire then if those conditions are met, that means the date is less than or equal to today plus J2, I want to format that, and we'll give it that red color. And we're going to click OK, and we're going to click OK, and then apply. Okay, and we see here that this date automatically, today is currently, what is today? August 18th. So it's 10 days away. If I were to change this to 9, it would automatically, let's do 8. There we go. So 8 days, because today is the, what's today? Today's the 19th. I forgot. All right, so we see how that works great. Now, if we were to change it to something higher, 60 days, they're all going to cover. So now we have a dynamic expiration date based on that, which can be very, very helpful. Great. So that covers our 4th. Now, our 5th one is a dynamic low stock alert formatting. Now, we did that already. As we can see inside our inventory balance, we already have that here. So we completed that already as it was in order. Very good. Next up, the total stock evaluations. I want to know the cost and the sales. And that's going to bring us back into this inventory where we do these 3. So we have these stock cost, stock price, and then we have our profit potential. So we have that inside that. So we're going to cover the first 2, which is our cost and sales. We're going to be bringing that in. And that is very important because I want to know all of our current stock. Our current balance is 55. What is the total stock? What is the cost of all of that stock that we have currently inside inventory? A very important value. And because I know what our current cost is, and because I know what our current balance is here, it's very simple. It's just a multiplication. So once again, we're going to use equals, which is our current balance, and we're going to multiply it times our current cost. And we're going to hit enter. And that's going to tell us it's 247. So I'm going to double click on that, and we have our current total stock. Next up, our total stock price. Once again, it's very simple because I know our current balance and I know our current price. I want to know what our total stock amount is. And that means what is the actual value, the sales value of all the stock that we have on hand. So to do that, once again, we're going to use equals, and I'm going to multiply our current balance times our unit price. So we're going to multiply that times our sales price. And that's going to get us our stock price. So that means if we sold everything of this particular blue widget, it would be a total of $549, assuming that we sold it at our unit price of $9.99. You can double click that and bring it down. Next up, what is our profit potential? Now, our profit potential is relatively simple because once again, we have our margin here. We know what our profit is on a per item basis, but what if we want to base it on all of the current items that we have? Once again, it is very simple. And if we go into the inventory hacks, we have our potential profit formula, and that is hack number 7. Once again, that is relatively easy because we've already done all the hard work, and it is simply equal to our current balance times what is our profit margin amount on a per product basis. We're going to hit enter. And that means our potential profit on this product, if we were to sell everything, is 301. We're going to bring that all the way down. And that is our profit potential. So that works really well. Now, we also want to add in some totals for that. So let's go ahead and add in a total. I'm going to select on here. I'm going to click on the table design. And what I'd like to see is I want a total row. So I'm going to add in that total row. And automatically it added it up. Now, I'm going to delete this because it kind of did things kind of automatic based on some samples that I had. So I'm just going to delete that, and I'm going to add it one more time just so I can help you. So I'm going to click on total rows, and notice that it didn't have what it had before because it remembered it from some previous. So I want to do it by hand. So what I want to know is I want to know the total to be reordered, total reorder, and I'm going to use a sum if. So equals. I'll do count if. And I want to count all these values above here, actually starting here, and I want to count only those that are reorders. So I'm going to add in the criteria here, and that's going to be based on our reorder. So I want to know all the total reorders, and that's going to leave us with 2. Perfect. And I'm going to put a little totals in here because I want to know those totals. And here, let's do it in the margin here. I'm going to put it right here, actually. That's good. So what I want to know is I want to know the total stock cost, and that's just simply equal to the sum here, and we can just add that in here. So we got the sum. So we want to know our total cost of all the stock. I'm just going to bring this over here. Now we can use subtotal, which can be really, really helpful. So if I were to use the subtotal in here, I would do it something like equals subtotal here. Now what are we doing? We're going to use the sum. So we're going to take a look at the sum here. That's what I want to focus on here. That is the function, but what are we subtotaling here? We're just going to subtotal our table, and which is our inventory balances, and what is the column that I'm working on? And the column is going to be our cost. So once again, we're going to focus on that cost, which is stock cost. I'm going to bring that down here. And that is going to subtotal our stock cost. So we see that it's 1148, so it's very simple to use the subtotal here. We can just bring it over here, and that's going to be our subtotal. So we have everything ready to go here. That is our total. So we've got our total reorder and our total stock. Very good. Next up, what I would like to do is I want to create an auto product reorder report. And that means inside this report, I want to use a formula that's going to automatically show only those products that need to be reordered. And so how do we do that? If we look at our inventory balance, I really want to focus on just these 2 products that are reorder. So let's go ahead and write a formula. It's going to populate that with a single formula. So inside here, we can use the filter formula. To do that, it could return an error. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use if error in case there's no data, if error. Now I'm going to use the filter. So here inside the filter, we can use an array. So what array do I want to return? I really want to return all of the reorder data. So we're going to do that table, I'm going to base it on that inventory balance. So pretty much I want to return everything inside that. Now, if I want to return everything, what I can use is the data option. We're going to scroll down here and look for the data. Basically, I want to return all the data. That's exactly what we're going to be returning. So I've already got the columns set up. So now I only want to include specific data, only those that are marked as reordered. So we're going to add in our filter. Our filter is our table inventory balances for a specific type of column, and that column is going to be only those for the reorders. So we're going to look at the alert. Now remember that alert is going to be the one that says that reorder. So the alert column is what we're going to be focusing on, and that is going to be equal to, and then I'm going to focus on reorder. So reorder, I only want to return those in which the alert column is based on reorder. That's it. So that's the filter column. Now, what if there's an error? If there's an error, I simply want to just put in something like no reorder item, something like that. And then I'm just going to hit enter. And what that's going to do is going to automatically populate. You see that? So automatically it's filtered out all the data. So we have all of the data that's going to come. Our columns are exactly the same as they are inside our inventory balance. So it brought all of the information over in just that one single formula. Very good. That is a very cool hack for our auto product reorder report. Now we're going to do a very similar for our auto expiring. I want to know those products which are expiring. As you remember, here inside our stock in, I want to know those expiring within a given date. I want to know within 30 days. So that means that's going to return just these two items inside a report. And it's going to be based on the 30 days right here. So let's go ahead and write that. Now we're going to call that our expiry watch. We can put it here. It's going to be easier. And I want to know the number of products expiring. So I'm going to put in 30 days just to make it easier. And once again, we're going to use the if error, and also we're going to use our filter. So filter. And once again, we want the data, but this time we're focused on our stock in data. So this table is going to be our stock in, because that's exactly where those expire dates. And we're going to focus on all the data. I want to bring in all the data. And of course, it's going to be based on a specific filter. So what is that filter? That filter is going to be based on two conditions. We want to make sure that there is a date. And then, of course, that date is also the expiration date. So we're going to focus on this table, the stock in, and we're going to focus here on the expiry date here. So I want to make sure that the expiry date. Now we also want to make sure that it does include a date. So it does not equal empty. Now because there's two conditions, just like the conditional formatting, I'm going to put a parentheses in here. And what I want to do is add one here. And then I'm going to use a multiplication because both must be true, just like we use some product. Also, I just wanted to take a quick moment to share with you one of the best applications that I've ever developed for coders, called the Ultimate Developers VBA Library. You can quickly and easily search for any macro of up to over 500 macros. You can also quickly and easily copy and paste any macro into your code in just a few seconds. If that wasn't fast enough, I've also integrated a very simple auto hotkey where you can use any shortcut keys to quickly automate your coding. You can also create your own macros, as many as you like. And that's the Ultimate Developers VBA Library, and I'm going to include the links down below. Thanks so much. So what is the other condition? The other condition is, once again, we're going to focus on that expiry date inside the stock in. So we're going to look at that. Now in this case, the expiry date must be less than or equal. So we're going to put in less than or equal. Also, once again, today, just like we did in the conditional formatting, and then plus what? Plus it must be this. So here. So that is our other condition. Now, if there's an error, I just want to put something like no expiring products, something like that, or items, either way. And that's it. And then automatically it populated right here. So we see just those two items are expiring. Now, if we change this to something like 10 days, automatically it just goes to one item. If I change it to 90 days, it's going to automatically update to all the items. So we see how quickly and dynamically we can create an expiry watch report based on any type of number of days very, very easily. So it's automatically updating report. Very cool. So that is our inventory hack number 9. Number 10 is a simple yet powerful dashboard in which we are going to build together. One more thing on this, I just wanted the number of expiring products, so equals, and we're just going to do count A here, and then we could just do the entire column here, and then a large, and that's going to count all the expiring products. So we see as we change that, that's automatically going to change. Very cool. That was just a little added. Next up, we're going to focus on this dashboard where we build it out. So let's go ahead and do that now. All right, the first thing that we want to do is add a nice background. So I'm going to go to the page layout and background. I've got one saved here. I had Midjourney create it for me, which is one of my favorite tools, dashboard background. I'm just going to insert that, and that's already sized. Okay, we don't need the grid lines on this, so view and then turn off the grid lines. I'm going to add a shape, just going to be our header shape, and I'm going to insert shape. We'll use a rounded rectangle here. That's a common shape, and let's bring it all the way over here. So starting a column, make sure we're in A, and I'm just going to keep it a header, and I want to just size this up. I'll use this as our size here. Now, I'm going to just use this as a default color and no outline on that. And I'm just going to add a little bit of a shadow. So I'm going to use Control 1. That's going to bring up the properties. And I'll just bring in a shadow, and we'll just use the upper left. Inside that, what I first want is some text. So I'm going to insert a text box here, which is going to be right here. And then we'll just cover it all the way. Now this text box here, I want to make sure that it is centered. So I'm just going to bring it all the way to the end, although it's not that much text here. That's going to be for our title. So bring it up here. We're going to remove the background on this. So I'll add in my text first. It's going to be called our inventory Command Center. Once we have our text, we can then select in and back out of again, and then we're going to center that, and I'll bring it right around 33 or something like that. I'm going to change the font here to Arial Rounded. I think I like that, MT Bold. And then I can bold it, change it to white here. Now it's in white, obviously we can't see it, so the shape format, the fill of that shape is going to have to go to no fill. The outline is going to go to no outline. I'm going to add also some shadow onto this text right here. So once again, Control 1 here. I'm going to focus on the text options. And the shadow, we're going to give it a slight shadow here. That is fine for that. You can't really see it, but it's good enough. Inventory Command Center. Make sure I spelled it right for a change. All right, so this is our header. That's looking pretty good. Now what I would like to do is I also want to add some text here. We have some main information that we want, which is right off the bat. So I'm going to copy this text. It's semi-formatted correctly. So using Control D to duplicate it, and then I'm going to bring it down here. And this is going to be our information. So we're going to have a lot of information. I'm going to change the font to around 14. And I don't need a shadow on this one. So we'll remove the shadow because this is just going to be basic text. So we don't need a shadow if I can ever get this expanded. No shadow on this text. Now I'm going to put, let's see, we want our stock value and our cost. So I'm going to change this, Control A, and then stock value, and we'll just put in cost. So that is going to go right about here. I want to make sure that I have enough space for everything. I'm going to bring it up right about there. So once I have the stock, I also want to know what is the stock value and sales. So we have a cost and then our sales. So we'll put in stock values, and then right about here, I'll just put in sales. So if we're selling it, what is the total sale? We already went over those. We've got the totals. And I want to know what the profit potential is. In other words, based on the stock on hand, what is the potential profit? Once again, we've already calculated that. So I'm going to put that right about here, and then I'll line them up accordingly. So we're going to call this profit potential. And next up, I'll also want to know, are we at or below the reorder? So I'm going to copy and paste this. How much stock is at or below the reorder? So I'm going to put it right here, and we're just going to call this at or below reorder. So at or below, because that's going to tell us exactly how much. And also I want to know the expiring products. So how many products are expiring? So I'm going to Control C, Control V, or Control D, either one, whichever you like. And I want to know expiring products. So expiring. Okay, now I want to move this to the end, and then everything else should line up accordingly. I'm going to make sure they're all in line here, and I'm going to then disperse them horizontally evenly. And I'm going to bring it down just a little bit. Okay, so things are looking good. That's exactly what I want. Now what we're going to do is we're going to focus on some values and some icons. So next up now, we need some linked amounts and some icons. So I'm going to duplicate this one. This one's going to be our linked, and then we're going to have to reformat it once we relink it. So let's right justify this one. And I'm just going to get rid of the text as we don't need it, but I do need this linked. What is the stock value as far as the cost is concerned? I'm going to put equals in. We're going to go back into our inventory balance, and we see that it's based on L15. So we just need to type in L15. I'm going to copy that, Control C, because I'm going to be using it. I'm going to hit Enter. Now we'll need to format this, but we might as well format them all at the same time. So I'm going to duplicate that, Control D. I'm going to go back in here. And now what we want to know is the stock value. So this is simply the column after that. So we're going to put in M. So it's simply M15, right? If we take a look back in our inventory balance, we see that our total stock price is based on M15. Next up, what we're going to do into the dashboard, I want the profit potential. So we're simply going to duplicate that, Control D. And inside here, we're going to just change that and update that to N15. And let's give this our amount. So our profit potential is 2768.28. So we take a look at our invoice balance, and we see that our profit potential is there. All right, next up, what I want to know is I want to know the reorder point. So this is the total number to be reordered, and that's based on G15. So once again, I'm going to go into the dashboard, duplicate that, Control D, and then it's simply going to change it to G15. And this is the total number of reordered. And I think I had this wrong on that sample in case you were looking at that. Once again, duplicating that, I want to know the expiring product. So we take a look here. We see the number of products here is based on M3. So that's exactly what we're going to link it to. So equals, go into our expiry watch here, or expiring watch, and just going to link it to there. So now we have two. Now what we can do is we can format them all. So I'm going to hold down the control here while I select each individual one of them. And I'm going to bring it up to a large font, something around 24, I think. And then I'm going to make it bold and then white. So that's kind of nice. It's slightly big, but I think it's, no, it's all right. Let's just go to 22. So now I'd like some icons for these. Notice I've left room for that on each one of them. So we're going to add them in. I'm going to use my insert and we're going to look for some icons. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look for some money. So money here, and I want to use, let's take a look here. I'll use this one and I'll just select them as we need them. And then what I want to use is something like dollars. Let's look in dollars. So we want a stock value. So we're going to use for the expenses, stock cost, and we'll use dollar. See if we have some, and on this one, I like the dollar sign here. So as I select them, they're automatic, they're still selected. So next up, what we want is profit potential. So we can type in profit and see what comes up here. And I'll use this one right here. I also want to know the reorder. So I'm going to type in order, see if there's any kind of receipt or order icon to use. So order here, and not that one. Let's just look in. So I think receipt should be pretty good, or invoice, or spell it right. Okay, there we go. So this one looks good here. This is a receipt. We'll use this for the reorder. And then expiring, I'm going to use a calendar on that. So I'm going to type in calendar. That's going to be good because they're based on dates. All right, and I'll use this one, it's fine. So now we've selected them all, and now what I want to do is just bring this up here, and then we're going to click insert. Now they're all inserted, they're all here, but while I've got them selected, let's use the fill. They're all going to be white, and I'll set the size to about, I think, 0.6, I think, about right. So now we just simply need to drag and drop these over. So the expiring products are going to be here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the receipt here. Those are a little bit big, don't you think? 0.5. So I'm going to use my selection and then just select them all here and then just change them to 0.5 and make sure they're all selected here. I think this one is not correct. So I'll unselect this one here. There we go. Now 0.5. Perfect. Now I'm going to bring this one. We're going to have our stock value here, and then our cost should be in dollars probably. So either you can figure out either one is fine. But now what we're going to do is we're going to add the profit potential. We're good to go. So now I want to line everything up. I'm going to keep my selection tool on, and I'm simply going to select everything, and I want them lined up here. I think it's okay just as is, but you could easily just add in additional grouping if you want. And you could also add in additional spaces, but I think we're good to go here. It doesn't need to be perfect here. Next up, what I would like to do is I would like to add some charts. So I want to know the current stock by product. So I'm going to save our work so far. And I want to use a pivot table to do that. It's going to be based on the current stock. So how do we know that? That's going to be on our inventory balance as we can see our current stock in. So I want to know what our current stock is. So to do that by product, I'm going to add a pivot. So I'm going to click on insert here, and we're going to insert a pivot chart. And I'm going to select on existing worksheet, and I'm going to select location. We're going to go back to our dashboard, and I'm just going to go way over here, just off the main section, right around AA is fine, and I'll just do AA3. So I'm going to click OK. Now what I want to do is I want to select those. So product name is going to be in the axis, and I also want to add in our current balance. So what is our current balance? So I'm going to put in right here. I want to know that. Now I don't really like this type. I want to change the chart type on here. So I'm going to change the chart type to, let's say, a bar chart. So this bar chart should look good, and I'm going to click OK. Now I also want them sorted, so I'm going to right click here, and I'm going to sort the values here. So we're going to look in the sort, and I'm going to sort on the largest to smallest, and I think that will be fine. So we see that our stock is smallest to largest. That's exactly what I want. So I'm going to put a total up here so we have both, and this is going to be our current stock by product. I'm going to Control C and Control A there here. And I'm going to use the same for this. Control A and Control V. Current stock by product. So now what we're going to do is we're going to just bring it over and we're going to place it where we want to. So we can zoom out a little bit so it's easier to place. And I want to place it right about here. Since this is a vertical, we might add products. So I'm going to bring it all the way down. Now I want to bring it back to 100% because I want everything to fit in exactly at 100%. And that's going to be here. So I'm going to double click there. We don't need the columns here. So I'm going to remove the columns. Let's select out of it and then go back into the view here. And we don't need to see the headers. So view, and under the header. So basically, I just want to make sure to position everything. So right now it's a little bit too much. All right, so things are looking good. Current stock by product. I'm going to right click here and I'm going to hide all the field buttons. We don't need them. I'm going to select on the main chart here, double click on the home here to expand it. I'm going to add in a font. We'll use the theme font, which is this color here. I don't want a background. I don't want the grid lines. I don't want the total. So we'll delete some things that we don't want and delete the individual grid lines. I'm just pressing delete on them. I want to increase the font size, so we're going to increase that. And I want this to be about 14, so I'm going to select on that. That looks good. Well, let's go ahead and give it a little bit of a format. We're going to change the background and we'll do some things on that. I'm going to use Control 1 and I'm going to use the fill, and I want to use a gradient fill here. And I like the gradient fill, but I don't want it in this direction. Oops, it's off the screen. Let me just bring it over here. So I like the fill, but I want this gradient to be from left to right, something like that. Yeah, that looks good. Going to go back in here. I'm going to add into the series. Let's do a shadow on this one. Maybe a slight shadow. So we'll bring it to 2 point on this and 2 point on this. I also want to do a 3D format, which kind of looks nice. For me, it's kind of old style, but now I'm old, so it kind of works. And of course, we need some values on here. So we're going to add the data labels here. That's fine. Now we'll add a slight background, the shape fill. I'm going to put no fill, and I want no outline on that. Oops, not there. Sorry. Let's get out of that. Undo. I want the entire chart here, so we're going to format that. This gets no fill, and this gets no outline. So things are looking good, but I do want a little bit of a background on that. I'm going to bold this title, Control B to bold it. I'm going to insert a shape, and I'm going to use it once again, a rounded rectangle here, and I'm just going to bring it out here. And I'm going to format that just like we did before. This, I want a white fill. I don't want any outline. This will be our background. We'll use this consistently. And let's go ahead inside the fill. What we're going to do is we're going to go to more fill colors. I'm going to set the transparency to maybe about 60 or 70%, something like that. Let's choose 70% and see how that works. I'm going to click OK. Okay, and of course I want to bring it behind this, and I want to make sure it encompasses the entire chart. So I'm going to bring it down here, and we don't need these values here. That's unnecessary. So I'm going to delete those x-axis. We don't need those. And I'm going to bring it to make sure. And I'm just going to place it behind. So I'm going to do that. So that's looking nice. So we have the current stock. I'm going to duplicate this background because we're going to need it a few times. I'm going to put it right here, as we're going to need a pie chart, and I want that pie chart to be sales by product. I'm going to bring it up here about like that, and I'm going to duplicate it once more, Control D. We have it here. Both of these, I'm going to make them a little bigger. I want them to extend for the entire length of that, and then equal distance. That's going to be about right here. Slightly bigger on these, but we're good to go. So now we've got the background set, and while we're at it, we're going to create one more, Control D. I'm going to have a line chart here, or a filled line chart, and that's going to be based on our product sales by date. So I'm going to bring it down here. All right, so we got the background set. It's kind of a nice little way to do it here because you're set up, and we don't need to worry about the backgrounds or placing them behind it. We're going to make these sure they're even, and looks good. So saving our work so far. Now we just need to add in 3 more pivot charts, and then we're done. So to do that, the first thing what I want is I want a sales by product. So each one of these tops should be all equal. So I'm going to go into the shape format, and I'm going to do a line, and then I want to line the tops here. Next up, I'm going to add in our sales by product. So we want to know focused on the sales. So to do that, we're going to look at our stock out. I want a sales by product. But to do that, we have product names and we have the inventory here. So we can use this. As we know, our stock out is here and our product name is here. So once again, we're going to use insert. And once again, we're going to use a pivot chart. Just like we did before, we're going to use an existing worksheet. We're going to put it on our dashboard. I'm going to put it to the right. So we're going to just move over here. We're going to skip a column, and then we're going to put it right here. And we're just going to click OK. This time we're going to be focused on products. So once again, product name. And I want to know how many we sold, which is stock out. So we have the products by stock. Once again, if we want, we can sort them by largest to smallest. That looks good. I'll use a pie chart for this. So I'm going to right click. And what we're going to do is we're going to change the chart type. And I'm going to go to the pie chart. And this one's sufficient for us. And we're going to click OK. All right, so we're going to move it in format, and we can update that. I'm going to pin this here and bring it to here where we want it. I'm going to place this on the left side, make sure that it's sized, and then we can format it accordingly. And that's about where I want to place it. So we can set the size because we have our background set, which is kind of nice. I'm going to right click here. I'm going to hide all the fields and buttons. I'm going to format the color. We'll use a blue or green, more of a theme oriented color, which is like this one. Yeah, that one looks good. So now this is going to be our sales by product. So I'm going to just type this in, sales by product. Get rid of that last one. Control A, Control C. The reason I want to copy that is just because I want to put the title right up here, just because I like it there. Now, that's a good reason, right? We're going to format that just like we did the other ones. We're going to increase the font size. We need to add some data labels to this. On these given data labels, I'm going to actually place them outside end and make them bold, probably just like, I think it's okay. I'm going to bring them out a little bit just so we can show the leader lines. And we're going to format that chart a little bit because I also want to format it similar to the others. I want to put a little bit of a shadow on it and then a little bit of a depth on that. Let's get rid of these zeros here. Next up, what I want to do is I'm going to go to the fill, and I think on this one we won't do any border on this, so no line on that. We're going to go into this one also. Let's do format and no fill and no line. Oops, not that. This one right here, no fill on the individual chart. We don't need that. We don't want any outline on that, so no outline. On the given pie, I also want no outline. But I do want here to go into our presets and I want to add a shadow just like we did before. I want to add a slight bevel onto that one just like we did before. And we can bring it down. This should be a 2 or 3, not that prominent of a bevel. All right, so things are looking pretty good. I think I like that. And we'll just increase the font a little bit. I'm going to make it all bold here so it stands out a little bit. This one, we're going to make it to 14. That looks good. Saving our work so far. Now what I want to know is I want to know purchases by product. So very similar. Once again, we're going back into our inventory balance here. I'm going to once again insert a pivot chart here, just like we did before, existing worksheet, and we're going to go back to the dashboard here. And let's bring this over here so I can see it. So now that we have that, here it is. Inside here, I'm going to bring it over here, and we're going to add it just to the one column to the right. And this is where it's going to reside. Clicking OK. Once again, we're going to focus on the product names. This time I want to focus on those that in. So those are going to be our purchases by product. Also going to change that to a pie chart. We'll change the color on that. So we're going to, once again, change the chart type. I also want to set a pie on that and click OK. And then we can move it over here and then change it. So we got everything that we want. We can sort it. Yeah, I do like sorting it by largest. So let's do that too. It makes things look a little bit nicer. I'm going to go into sort and largest to smallest, just like we did previously. And we're going to bring it over here. It's going to reside inside this area right here. Once again, since we have the background set, we can position it easily. And I'm going to bring this one a little bit larger too. So now, once again, just like we did before, we're going to hide all the field buttons on the chart. We don't need those. We're going to give it a unique color here. So the color is going to be, we'll use a green on this one. And once again, these are going to be purchases by product, purchases by product. We've got the product. We're going to change the font just like we did before to blue, increasing the font. We're going to add the data labels onto there, just like we did. Also, we want to make sure, same as before, I want to outside in. So we're going to go into the chart options here. Outside end is where I want to place them, and I want them bold. I want all the font bold, so I'm going to select the entire chart, making sure that they're all bold. Just like we did before, I'm going to make sure this one is set to 14 on the title, purchases. There we go. By product. Going to go into the formats here. Going to set a shadow on that, and we're going to set a slight bevel just like we did before, bringing it to 3 points on the bevel, both. So things are looking good, not too bad here. On that, the background, of course, we're going to get rid of that. So no shape fill, no shape outline. Looking good. Very good. Saving our work. The last chart. Now what I want to know is if we see here, we've got stock out. I want to know the sales by date. So we're going to click insert here. And once again, we're going to add a pivot chart, existing worksheet. We're going to move it over based on our dashboard here, whatever our available areas are. And we're going to go up here to right about here. And this is where we're going to place it. I need to know this is our purchases by product. And these are our product sales by date. That's what it's going to be. So we're going to go in here. Once again, I want to know the dates here. And I'll add in the dates. That's going to be our rows. Then what we want to do is we want to add in the amount. So we want to know the quantity out, sales numbers by date. So we're going to change this to a filled line chart. I'm going to then change the chart type here. And we're going to go into this area. I think it's an area chart that looks good. This is called filled line, but same thing, area chart. All right, looking good. Now we've got pretty much everything we want. So I'm just going to bring it into our main dashboard area where we can place it and size it accordingly. So I'm going to bring it right down here and making sure that it fits perfectly inside our background, which we've already sized. So I'm bringing it here. Okay, that's looking good. And we can start to just format that. So this one we are calling our product sales by date. I'm going to bring that up here. I'm going to give a little more space for that. We're going to get rid of these buttons. We don't need those. And we're going to get rid of the grid lines here, hitting delete on those. We don't need any legend. We can remove that. And we also just need to increase that. We're going to go to the format here. Actually, let's set our font size, bold, and then increase the font. Also increase it here to 14, just as we've done before. I'm going to add some data on this. So adding those data labels, and we're going to make those white because they're not clear. So I'm going to set those to white so that we can see them. And we'll bring the outside ones in a little bit. And we're going to bring this one in a little bit so that we can see them clearly. Zoom in a little bit so I can grab that. And here we go. So we'll grab this one, bring it in. So now that we have that, we're going to go back to 100%. Once again, I'm going to select on this. We're going to set no fill and of course no border on that. I do want to set a gradient on that so it'll look good. So let's use it to our theme. I'm going to set the fill on that. We're going to go into the fill. And I'm going to set a gradient fill, and not this particular one, but let's do this one here. Yeah, that one looks good. So let's take a look at my sample. I like that. That looks pretty good. Product sales by date. Things are looking good. Only other thing you might want to add is the line on the top of that. So if we have a solid line, we can set it with our default color here. Let's bring it over here. We're just about done. So I'm going to set that as our default, and we can increase the line. That's going to be the line on top in case you want to do that. All right, we're good to go. Let's take a quick look at this and then a final review. I'm going to reduce this and we'll take a look at our dashboard. We have our inventory command center with our stock value and sales and costs, profit potential, add or below reorder, and those expiring products all in the upper. Our current stock by product, sales by product, purchases by product, and a product sales by date. So we have a very simple yet powerful dashboard. And of course, we've covered a lot in this with the inventory hacks. We did a simple stock balance, which is simply our total purchase minus our total sales. We had an automated reorder formula. That was really helpful inside our inventory balance so we could see which ones were reordered. We also had a product profit margin calculations where we could figure out our total profit and margin on a per product basis. That was hack number 3. Number 4 was the expiring product conditional formatting. So we could easily see which products were expiring and then adding conditional formatting to that. Number 5 was the dynamic low stock alert formatting. That was kind of nice because we were able to show which ones were low and we had some conditional formatting on that so we could show that. Number 6 was our total stock valuations, cost, and sales inside our inventory balances. We were able to show that cost and sales. And number 7 was our potential profit formula. So we could also see what our potential profit was on a per product basis. Number 8 was automated product reorder report. This was kind of cool because automatically would show exactly which products are available for reordering, and we're using a cool filter formula for that. Number 9 was our auto expiring product report. Using the same filtering formula inside our expiry watch, we were able to set a dynamic product by expired, and then based on X number of days where we could easily change that. And lastly was number 10, a really cool, powerful, yet simple dashboard. All right, thank you so much for joining me. If you do like these trainings, I do appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and I've got 400 of my best templates all in a single zip file. You would absolutely love this. I've put everything into this incredible, it's called the 400 Workbook Pro Pack, and it now comes with a full 24/7 expert GPT on every single workbook, so you can get the help customizing it or fixing anything or updating the workbook however you like. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.